to go into record mode?
We're there.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Monday night team up call. And such a pleasure being with so many of you tonight. And I'm excited. We had a fabulous Easter and spring is in the air, but I have to tell you, you guys are just amazing. We are wrapping up probably the biggest month we've ever had. Promotions are rolling in. You guys are hitting your goals and you are reaching out into the community with an excitement that is just captivating. You are becoming captivating, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. So this is a very special call tonight because I've invited David Beavers to the call. I saw that recently he was doing a call for some other teams all over the country on 20 secrets of success. And so, yeah, I got a little jealous and I was like, wait a minute, David Beavers. So, David is my mentor and mentor to almost all of you on the call right now. And if David's got 20 secrets of success and only 2 that really matter, I want to know what he's talking about. And so I've asked him to share with the whole Team Up community. And so he said yes. So we're honored that he's with us. And David, I'm going to turn it over to you now. Before David takes this, guys, hang on at the very end because I have an announcement to make at the end. So David, it's all yours.
Thank you. Perfect introduction, just the way I wanted it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this call. Some of you have heard me speak on these subjects for many, many years. So I want to jump right into it. I'm going to take about 20 minutes of your life right now. And, it's 25 years. Juice Plus has been out. And we got 25 years ahead of us that are going to be exciting. I'm excited about the future. For me, giving a talk like this, I'm pulling from my experience and hopefully some wisdom of 30 years with the company. Got some new things I'm going to be doing, but I'm also excited about sharing some basic things tonight. 20 secrets of success, and I could list probably 50, but I want to give you 2 that are utterly indispensable, not only in terms of my own experience, but as I've worked with people, the people who do these 2 things get it done, okay? And if you're struggling with these things, that's okay, because like personal growth, you've got to grow in your ability to do these 2 things or 20 things or whatever. You've got to grow. You've got to develop. You've got I have an idea for you tonight. You've got to move from being a member of Juice Plus and become a mentor. Are you willing to become a mentor? We put the word leader out there a lot, but it kind of intimidates people. But are you willing to move from being just a member? You got to be a member first, right? But then you've got to move, you got to grow, you got to develop, you got to become more, you got to become a mentor. And it's a process. Process that starts off and your income kind of reflects where you are in this process, moving from member to mentor. First, you're a learner, you're learning, you're hungry, you're a student. Then you start modeling. You never stop learning, but then you start modeling for others, and they see you doing it. They see you leading by example. You're a learner, you're a model. Then you start to teach a little bit. Start teaching. You start imparting these truths, these principles, these concepts. Teach principles. Techniques and tools come and go. Principles last. And if you teach people the right principles, they will follow you. You learn, you model, you teach, and then you lead. That's how you move from mentor to member. Learning, modeling, teaching, leading, and your income reflects where you're there. You start off high maintenance and very little impact. Then if you develop, you should hopefully become a person of low maintenance and high impact. Now, I know some people who are high impact, but they're still high maintenance too. No present company. But it's okay to be high maintenance at the beginning because you don't know anything. And if you think you do, you will be high maintenance because you act like you know something and you don't. So that's becoming a member to, you go from being a member to a mentor. You put yourself in that process. I want to become a high impact, low maintenance person. I want to move from being a learner. I have a heart of a student. You become a model, an example, and then you become a teacher. You have the heart of a teacher. Then you become a leader. Do you see that process? And how long does that take? A long time. A long time. I'm just getting started. Just getting started. I got a little 3 letters that I want to add to my resume. I have a master's in theology. Now I want a WCL. I want to put a WCL after my name, and that stands for world-class listener. That's where I want to work this year. That's where I want to become really good. I want to become a world-class listener. That's taken me a while to get there. I'm working on that one. Okay, so there are 2 things. By the way, let me add, as you move from high maintenance to low maintenance and so forth, understand this, that doing the Juice Plus business is for grown-ups. Okay, very important to get that. It's not easy, it's not quick, it's not fast, it's not always fun. It's for grown-ups. It's sort of a microcosm of life. You step into it and you've got to accept what it brings you. You let the game come to you and you play the game and then you execute. Now let me share with you those 2 things. They're inviolable. You have to have them. The first one, I'm going to say each one 4 or 5 different ways. Okay? 4 or 5 different ways. First one is clarity of purpose, clarity of intentions, clarity of objective. We sometimes wrap it in that popular vernacular today of, do you know your why? But it's really about, Stephen Covey put it this way, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. And if you don't know what the end is, you're in trouble. So you've got to get really crystal clear on what you want, why you're doing this, how much money you want to make. And then you begin with that end in mind and you develop that. Now, another way of putting this is setting goals. A lot of people don't like that, but it kind of scares them, setting goals. And the feedback I get on this is, well, I don't want to set goals because I feel bad if I don't reach them. I understand. But a lot of the problem with setting goals or getting clear on intentions is you don't know how to do it. So you've got to have you've got to become a student of clarity. You've got to become a student of setting goals. I think Jamie Cantrell said it the other night on the call. She says, very few people ever walk into a corporate office and say to the person, what are your goals for life? What is your purpose? What do you want to get from this business? What are your dreams? What's the vision for your future? That's what a goal is. A goal is simply a dream with a deadline. It's a vision for your future. Now, here's a little factoid most of you don't know about me. When I'm in the car, I have Sirius XM. And when Sally's in the car with me, I'm stuck on channel 70, which is the Love channel. Okay, that's all we go for there. But when she's not in the car with me, I listen to the Love channel. I also do classic vinyl, that's number 26. But my favorite one is 18, which is the Beatles channel. Love the Beatles channel. I'm a baby boomer. I wish I still had the wig, the little mop wig that my parents gave me on Valentine's Day, 1964, when they appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. Okay? Love the Beatles. What I love about that channel, though, is that sometime during each day, they go back and they have highlights of the influences on the Beatles. What made the Beatles, and where they got their ideas musically and from their art. And it comes down to things like the people who really influenced them were people like Roy Orbison and Elvis Presley and the Everly Brothers. Anybody know the Everly Brothers? They're from Nashville. Okay, Wake Up Little Sister. Well, anyway, can't get into that. But they were influenced, and it's so fascinating to see where, and when you listen to some of the songs they sing and where they got them from, it makes sense. We are under tremendous influence. I have been influenced. I made a list the other night when I was preparing for this talk the first time of the people, the books, the concepts, the lectures that have influenced me, and I came up with a list of 100 names of people.
Wow.
Since I was 12 years old, I came up with a list of 100, probably could have done 200 names of people and their writings, their lectures, their concepts. It was fascinating to just write it down. And what I want to share with you tonight are 4 influences that have shaped the way I get clear. Okay? This has been very important for me for the last 30 years. And it actually started before I joined this company 30 years ago. The first little resource I want to share with you, if you can see this is a worn book. It's called Strategy for Daily Living. You can get it, looks much nicer. It's been revised and updated by Ari Kiev. It's only this, look how little this is. Okay, great book. It basically says this: you've got to have singleness of purpose. You can't drift. You can't float from one activity, from one thing to another, and expect to accomplish anything. But he really breaks it down. It's so great. It's so simple. I read that about 1980. Changed everything. Just a little book. Read it. I mean, I've worn it out. Okay. Second thing, big influence on David Beavers. Jim Rohn. 6-set CD. He's deceased. There are a lot of people who are good. You know, Tony Robbins. Any of these are great. But this is the source. Okay. The Art of Exceptional Living. This is a 2 CD, abridged version of the 6 CD set. Great stuff. Things like, you don't have to do extraordinary things to be successful. You just have to do ordinary things extraordinarily well. Things like, for things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. Okay? All these, this set, Sally and I were married. I had a used Nordic tractor. I remember those wooden Nordic tracks, okay? She would get dressed to go to school and teach, and I would get on the Nordic track while she's drying her hair, and I would listen to Jim Rohn every morning for 30 minutes. I've listened to this set of CDs at least 100 times. At least. When I hear Jim Rohn now, I think it's my idea that he's quoting. Yeah, I say, he got that from me. But it's not true. I got a lot from him, and I appreciate him. Third book is this, Success is Not an Accident, by Tommy Newberry. There's some elements in it which are deeply faith-based, which I think some of you will really appreciate. But here's a timeless principle that he gives, and it kind of goes with this idea of setting goals. And that is, here it is: tomorrow changes today. Tomorrow, think about that. You have to think about that. Tomorrow changes today. I've studied I've gone through his course. I've learned to write a personal mission statement. Well, it's a great process. And then the last one I want to share with you, not in order, but maybe if you were going to start, you might want to start with this one, and that is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I'm sharing these with you because in 20 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, I can't give you everything. You've got to go to these sources. You've got to become the student so you can model, so you can teach, so you can lead. Here's what Stephen Covey says, and I'm going to give you this first secret in his terminology, and that is begin with the end in mind. See, whenever you hear someone say, well, what's your why? Well, you need to set goals. You need to have clarity of purpose. Get clear on what you're doing. What he's saying basically is, where are you going? What do you want? Where do you want to live? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be with? How much money do you want to make? Begin with the end in mind. Now, Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Setting goals will do 3 things for you. 1 minute, I'm going to give these to you, but you've got to go to these sources and study them. 3 things setting goals will do. They'll simplify your life. They'll simplify. Your life will be simplified when you get clear. And if you're not clear, the business is 10 times harder. 10 times harder. Secondly, goals, clear-cut goals, will reveal how your fear of disapproval sabotages your life. Because you'll have these goals, you'll start moving forward, and you'll have hiccups. People will look at you funny. But if you're clear, you'll have enough reasons to push through. But if you don't have enough reasons, if the end is not clear, you'll get bogged down and sidetracked and wallow in codependence. Third thing is that clarity of goals will fuel your personal development, because the question then becomes not what I get, but who must I become in order to achieve those goals. Okay? So I'm just going to tell you, and I'm kind of cutting the chase now when I coach people, and we're talking, they're talking about reasons why it's working and not working, and why they're back not going forward. Say, what do you want? Well, I want to be this. I want to be that. Well, what are you clear? What's your goal? And I drill down on that, and people have a real hard time clarifying what they're after. Second indispensable thing. By the way, these goals, I suggest, and you'll learn this from the resources I gave you. They need to be written. They need to be spoken vulnerably to another person. They need to be reviewed daily, and they need to be connected to a detailed plan. Okay? Second thing. One thing, second thing. And I'll say it this way, then I'm going to give it in Coveyism. Okay? Second thing is a mastery of the basics. A mastery of the basics. You hear Jim Rohn, you hear any major speaker, they explain over and over again, there's just a few things you need to get good at. Just a few. Maybe 5 things that you need to really get good at. Mastery of the basics. He would put it this way. After he says, here's the first step of the 7 habits, is be proactive, take responsibility for your life. Second thing is begin with the end in mind. Third thing is this, put first things first. Master the basics. Focus, major on the majors. Major on the majors. Master the basics. Get good, get better every month at the basics. Get better, improve, get better. Not perfect, progress. Not perfection, getting better. How do you get better? You study, you read, you write, you journal, you pray, you get coaching, you ask for help, you go to the conferences, you go to the seminars, you listen to the tapes, you read the books. Boy, people aren't reading anymore. And they're watching YouTubes, which are great. You got to read. Leaders are readers. Here's what you do. Here are the basics. In one word, you got to learn to communicate. You got to learn to speak up, follow up, and show up. Those 3 acts are basically conversations. Not presentations, they're conversations. You got to learn how to be present before you learn to present. And engaging in conversations is the art of building this business. Speaking up, telling stories, follow up is that piece of integrity where you follow through on what you're going to do. You connect the dots. You learn next step thinking. It's an art form. It's not just a technique. It's not just, oh yeah, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but then I found out. And that's a great way to understand things. But if you say it like that, you're not communicating. You're manipulating. So there are books out there on this, great books on this. I can't teach it to you in 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 4 hours, but you can study it and you can listen to it and learn from others. You can go to some people and say, I'm lousy at this. What do I need to learn? What would you recommend? Get hungry. So you speak up, follow up, show up. Show up is attracting, inviting, learning to promote and build events with people. And promoting events is about selling the personality and the person you want them to meet. But it's all about how you engage and how you have conversations. And I tell you what, it's a process. It's hard, but you've got to do it. Now I want to close with one story about all of this. And it comes under the title of DALTS, D-A-L-T-S. Remember the word DALTS. I told this story yesterday at a family Easter luncheon. And most of my kids there, grandkids didn't care. They're too young. They're outside with their whippersnippers or whatever. But the adult children were sitting around, and after a couple of mimosas, we're talking pretty openly. And I'm sharing with them just off the cuff about DALTS. And they never heard this story before. In the early 90s, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. More broke than Jeff Roberti was as a waiter, okay? But I was broke, and I was broken. I was more broken than I was broke. And I didn't have a place to live. My family was in Atlanta. This is not a sob story. This is a story about clarity of intention and learning to communicate and learning to follow up. Went to a restaurant, a family restaurant not far from where I live now, called DALTS. It's known for its great chocolate malt and milkshakes. There was a couple in there named, I won't give their names, but a great couple. They were now divorced. A very wealthy couple. As it turns out, that girl of the couple is now a dear friend of Sally's. But at the time, I knew them from previous years when I was in the ministry and they attended the church. And I walked up to Mike and I said, Mike, how are you doing? And it was kind of a casual conversation. Very wealthy man. He is just incredibly wealthy. And I said, I want to tell you what I'm doing. And at the time I was selling water filters. And I went to see, he said, okay, come by my office and see me. So I went by to see him. And for 30 minutes, he patronized me. Very humbling experience. I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together. And I said, and I showed him a video, a VCR. And he kind of laughed. He said, this is really not for me. Kind of put me down. He said, this is not for me. And as I was walking out the door, he said, but there is a guy who's in real estate and the market's really soft and he might be interested. I said, can you call him for me? He thumbed through his Rolodex. He called the guy, Gene. The next morning I met Gene in his office. We had coffee at 6 a.m. He said, I could care less about something like this, but my wife may be interested. So I went to visit her and she looked with her arms crossed kind of skeptically and said, okay. So she got involved with me selling water filters for about a year. And in the meantime, she sponsors a friend who has a cousin who lives in Dallas. And none of those people are with me today, but the cousin who lived in Dallas lived next door to Terry Luongo. Okay, so we're having this call tonight because of my clarity of intention, my willingness to push through my fears, and my willingness to engage people in conversation and follow through and connect the dots. And that perseverance, that willingness, this is what we're doing now in our business. We're learning how to dig deep. We can't just recruit the people we know. We've got to recruit those people and then go deep into their markets and so forth and so on. Summarizing, thank you, Terry, for being there. Thank you for being in bed for 11 months so Martha would think, this girl needs Juice Plus, and she did. So here we are, and I'm so grateful. 25 years of Juice Plus, 25 years to go. I'm 71 years old. I'm pumped. I'm ready to roll. I got 25 more to go. But I want you to understand that you've got to get clear. You've got to get clear on what you want. And then you've got to learn to communicate. Okay? Clarity of intent and your ability to communicate and engage people lovingly, winsomely, caringly is the key to building your business. Everything else around that floats in and out, but you've got to get good at those two things. And if you do get good at those two things, you'll realize your dreams. You'll get what you want. And it's not something you do in 6 months, it's something you'll do for the next 25 years. So I wish you well. I see you in Phoenix. Hey, listen, we got lots of people to celebrate. Maybe some new NMDs, some senior sales coordinators, 12 clubbers, 39 clubbers. We got a lot to celebrate. We're going to kind of hold it underneath tonight, but next week we're going to blow it up. Thank you, Terry.
David, thank you so much. And hey, is Dalt still around? Is it
There.
still?
I ate there the other night with my kids.
All right, well, next time I come to town, you're taking me to Dalt's.
That's where it all started. That's where it happened.
That is so great. All right, guys. I just know how we're all so grateful to David for sharing this message. And I'm going to talk to you for 2 seconds about conference. You still have time to get clear. You have time to make a decision. You have time to communicate this to your spouse. You have time to come to something that will change your life. All right. And it's, it's less than a month away, but there's still time to make this happen. All right. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to extend the getting 5 extra chances towards the $3,000 raffle by registering early for the luncheon. Okay, I'm going to extend that until next week because we've been so caught up in 12 Club, 39 Club, NMD, SSC, Qualify Your Business. We've been a tad bit fragmented. So I'm going to give you an extra week. Get in there, register for lunch, pay it up. You're going to get 5 extra chances towards our $3,000 cash raffle. And remember, at the conference, at the luncheon, one lucky person is coming with me to see Justin Timberlake in Dallas in May. I think that should be you. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace out. God's blessings. See you next Monday night. It is going to be a monumental call.